something like first steps. What is, I guess, the first step of what you're...
Is that the question?
No, I dead serious, I had a little bit.
Nice. But the first step was, well, the Walt Disney Company bought a company called 20th Century Fox for all sorts of reasons. And the exciting little reason for us was Marvel got a bunch of characters back. And we've got a bunch of X-Men back and Fantastic Four back. I was very, very excited to launch into the Fantastic Four and to bring them into our universe. And the question really was, as we had done when we started doing the Spider-Man movies for Sony, the comics are so rich, the comics are so, the amount of ideas, Marvel's called the House of Ideas, publishing is the House of Ideas. And even though there had been other incarnations in films of Fantastic Four, there had never really been the vibe we had wanted from the comics. And in large part, that vibe was this retro futuristic 60s vibe. And that gave us the opportunity to have it disconnected from the continuity of any of the other movies we've done and just have it take place in its own world. And to do justice to one of Jack Kirby's greatest creations, Galactus.
Yes. I remember, you and I had talked about this before too. It was like, there's so many times where I think in superhero movies, and you know, maybe this has happened, like, there's a tendency to go dark and gritty. And I think we talked about, you were like, there's a realization, I want a little bit of like, I want the illustrations to come to life. I want the big Galactus hat. Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, that was sort of always how, when we started making movies ourselves, really believed that respecting the iconography from the books we could do justice to it in films. And the only reason not to is if you're scared. If you're scared that Loki's horns might be too goofy, so you don't do Loki's horns. We were saying, no, let's do Loki's horns, and let's make them outrageously long in certain moments. Guillermo del Toro could pull that off with Hellboy, outrageously long horns to make it look cool. So there is a way. Galactus is just a great iconic graphic design. So we weren't sure how we were going to pull it off, but we always knew we wanted to respect the Kirby lines of that design. And our director, Matt Shackman, who would love to be here tonight, but is in Europe working on his next project, really brought this notion of Kubrick meets Kirby. That was his sort of design idea for this movie, and what we ended up doing Galactus sort of fit into that perfectly.
Absolutely. And one of the places we feel the world for the first time when watching this movie is through the music, courtesy of one Michael Giacchino. Hello. I mean, I'll just say that theme has been stuck in my head since the day the movie came out. What is the secret about creating that theme? And just tell me about that.
The secret was Kevin called me one day and said, hey, we're going to do something down at Comic-Con. This was before they even started filming the movie. So we're going to do something Comic-Con. Maybe we should do the theme. You want to record the theme and we could play it because they're going to do this drone show. We could have music for it. And I was like, yeah, let's do that. So, I mean, it's so rare that you get to record the theme for your movie prior to the filming, and B, early enough for them to then use it in marketing as well. And this was one of those things that I was just like, yeah, I couldn't wait because I love the Fantastic Four. I still have my Fantastic Four comics. I still have my Fantastic Four Mego figures, all of that stuff. So I was totally in. So I wrote this thing, and when Kevin was asking me, he was just like, well, what are you going to do? And I was just like, well, I think, and don't hit me, but I think that this is like it should be a mashup of like the right stuff and the Disneyland Electric Light Parade. And I was like, and he was like, no, that sounds great. So and I talked to Matt about it, and we all got on board. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go do it. So I did it. I sent it to them, and there was one thing that I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure how everyone was going to react. I thought, what if the choir sang Fantastic Four, like literally in your face, in the lyrics, like unabashedly, just like, this is what it is, in case anyone doesn't realize, this is what we're doing. And I remember mentioning that to Kevin, and Kevin going, what's the reaction you gave me?
I think at first I was like, oh, you mean so the chords sound like it? He's like, no, the choir sings it. Okay.
Yeah, that's about it. I go,
Okay, we'll see.
and so I went off and did it. And even I was a little nervous about it, but I did it. And as soon as I did, we had 100 people in the choir for this movie. 100 people. So there was 101 people in the orchestra, and then there was 100 people in the choir. And when a 100-person choir yells that at you, it is so powerful. And I thought, oh my God, it's gonna work. This is gonna work. So, and then I sent it off, and there it was.
But it wasn't until you played it live where was that, at the Bowl or at Comic Con?
Well, we played it at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah.
We played at the Hollywood Bowl. Yes, but before the movie came out, it was for the Infinity concert that we did.
Yes, at Hollywood Bowl. And when you hear that, I went, oh, this is definitely in the movie.
It was so fun to do, and so thank you for letting me do that. And it was a blast. Yeah.
Kevin, so, I mean, what was your reaction when you first heard it? And then also for both of you, I just want to hear the fan response, like, taking that in too, because again, it has been stuck in my head, but also I'm sure a lot of people's.
I have very eclectic musical taste, and people will say, oh, how about we could get a song by this such and such. And I go, who's such and such? And they go, oh, they're the most famous singer in the world. I go, oh, okay. Michael says Bill Conti's The Right Stuff and the Main Street Electrical Parade.
Yeah.
I knew, I have every version of both those recordings. Now, it's a very particular thing. I don't want to make movies or soundtracks just for myself, but I knew Michael would be able to. When Michael said that, he would turn it into something incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't done something that was just unabashedly sort of positive about what we're doing with the characters, what we're doing with the story, and what we wanted, and what I was certainly interested in is this idea that we could do this Marvel film that felt optimistic, that felt like these people are good, this is all about good, this is all about doing something that is positive, and how do we imbue that in the music? So it's probably one of the only Marvel scores that's not in a minor key. The whole thing is just all major key right on the whole way. Now, of course, in the movie, there's all kinds of craziness that happens, but for the main theme, it was just, this is it. And when it came out, and you started seeing all these videos of people doing these crazy dances to it, and this crazy, everyone in my family, it got nauseating after a while, because everyone, constantly for months, people kept sending me, look at this person's doing, look at this person's doing. So in that sense, it was so fun to just kind of see people having fun with it. So
for a year before the movie came out, as Michael said, I remember being jealous. Not even, I was sort of before I was making movies. I remember in the trailer to your first Harry Potter film in '98 or '99, whenever that first trailer came out, had John Williams' theme, new Harry Potter theme. And I remember thinking, that's amazing. It's the teaser for this film that's not coming out yet, and there's already a theme. We should do that someday. I'd love to do that someday. It took us almost 20 years. Yeah.
And it's such a fun thing, because then you're saying to the audience, this is what we're doing. Because many trailers, as you know, they use music from God knows what, or whatever it is that's available at the time. They could just sell the thing. But this was something we put out there and said, no, this is what we're doing. And it was that until the movie came out, which was really fun. Really fun to do.
And I'm going to say the word retrofuturism a lot, I think, in this Q&A. But is there any, when you're going through beyond the theme, is there anything that you explore, got to play with that maybe?
Oh yeah, all kinds of synths from the era, ARC 2600, and all these really fun, the thing about the Disneyland Electric Light Parade was all these vintage synths that created that whole thing. So I went in and figured out what were those synths, and I got them out and found people that had them.
Was that the Moog?
We had the Moog in there as well. I mean, it was a litany of things, and it was really fun to do. It's also really a pain to use those things as well. But the idea that you would have that live as the same way as you would have the entire orchestra live, we never really, there's a lot of people do what they call striping, and they'll record just sections of the orchestra. I just love when everyone is playing together. It is so much more fun. There's such a joy you get out of it, because these musicians, they spend their entire lives practicing, getting ready to do this. And when they don't get to play together, they're just depressed, But you let them in the room together, let them all play at the same time. It's such an energy, and you can feel it, I think, in the music when you're listening to it.
Absolutely.
It's just such a fun thing. So, anytime we get to do that, I'm in.
Yes. As we continue uncovering the world, I want to talk about the physical world that the team